All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sal Garcia. This is Linda Lee Garibay, and we are with the San Diego County Office of Education Friday Night Live Club Live programs. And we are going to go through 4 steps of facilitating effective conversations. We're going to the next slide. There we go. Clicky. Now, this is a model that Linda and I spent 3 days learning. So you're not going to fully grasp every intricacy and be a professional. This is really kind of a 101 to be like, you know what, I should learn more about this. And Lisa Flowers can hook you up with that if that's something you're interested in. But for the purposes of what we're doing today, this will really hopefully help you ease through conversations and really move in a way that makes sense to be able to bring people together. A lot of times different people pick out from different things from conversations, and we want to make sure that we do it collectively and understand the purpose of something that was done or something that we observed and move forward together. Now, the model of facilitation framework enables us to focus our conversation, as I was sharing earlier. And through these steps, you'll be able to increase productivity by analyzing facts and feelings and making decisions intelligently. And this, I might be making it out a little more difficult than it sounds. It's 4 easy steps. Anyone can ask these questions and really get a fruitful conversation. So, and lastly, we're part of Friday Night Live, is a youth development drug prevention program in San Diego County that engages young people as part of a solution instead of part of the problem, seeing them as part of the problem. So that's kind of our FNL quickie. So you can learn more about us if you're interested, or if you need more youth development on your campus or drug prevention on your campus, let us know and we're here for you. Linda, anything else? No, those were your side style. You're supposed to talk. All right, now, those of you in here, has anyone in the chat, let me know, has anyone heard of ORID or taken ORID or participated in ORID? There's a few names I think I recognize. I better scroll down. Sure.
Norma has a thumbs up
Thumbs up. Fantastic.
emoji.
Thank you, Norma. So ORID is, I just want to make sure I know who's in the room because this will impact the levels of engagement. Now, some of you were told, you know what, Norma, you need to go to this and that's that. So you're a prisoner, right? And you're not really digging it, but you're going to go along for the ride because you were told you're just locked in the room. I got to show my little ticker's got to show that I'm here. I'm going to be here. Some of you might be a vacationer. You know what? And this doesn't count as much when you're working from home. But back in the day, I'm going to say something, and hopefully you guys remember, we used to go to places for trainings. It's amazing, mind blowing, I know. But we used to go to places, sit there, get free coffee, some snacks, and learn about things. And some people would go kick back, chill out, not really taking the conversation or any of the content in it, and really just kind of be chilling. And then we have a sophisticate, the person that knows everything. Oh, I've seen this. Oh, he's doing that activity. Jesus. So those I've been accused of being that kind of person sometimes, only because I've been in the prevention game for so long. But I really want to encourage you to be an explorer. Now, an explorer is a person that goes, you know what, I've seen this, but I like Sal's take. Or I'm going to see how he says it so that I could try his approach when talking to people. All of us have different approaches and different presentation styles that we enjoy listening to. And so hopefully you get a nugget or two from our presentation today, or 4, because it is the 4 steps. But we want you to really sit back, explore, learn, kind of feed that hunger inside of you of something different or something new that you can do with your team in your team meetings. Anything else? No? All right, next slide.
Julia said in the chat, "They're explorer. There is always something I can learn." That's awesome.
That's right. I like it. Thank you.
All right. So like Sal mentioned earlier, today you'll be learning about ORID, which is a facilitation model that helps guide you to a more structured and focused conversation. This is a way of having a conversation that requires us to thoroughly explore what we know about something and what we feel and think about it before we identify the issues and make decisions. You can use ORID to have a conversation around anything, debriefs, discussions, brainstorms. It can be useful to do a quick evaluation and get some feedback on how things were going with a project team, or having conversations with your family around the dinner table to talk about their day. So why learn about a facilitation model? Well, have you ever been in a situation where you're trying to discuss something, with someone, but no one is participating and you feel like you have to kind of like pull out that information from them. This model helps facilitate a more structured conversation because it helps us think about the questions that we ask. The types of questions we ask are important, and the questions you ask determine the answer that you're going to get. And so you want to be intentional with the development of those questions. And that is what the ORAD model teaches us. Instead of a general question like, what did you think about this, where there are so many different responses that you could get, that oftentimes it intimidates people when sharing. Be more specific about the question that you ask. And so ORAD helps us structure questions based on 4 categories: observations, reactions, ideas, and decisions. And if you're the one facilitating the conversation, then you're the one that takes the time to craft these questions. So ORAD model, 4 simple steps. O, observation. O stands for observation questions, which analyzes the facts and perhaps to recall what happened. These are questions that make us think about what we know or what happened. And to remember this, I connect O to eyes because this is what is seen, just the facts. The second step is R. R stands for reflective questions. These questions are about how we feel about the situation, the effect of the activity. And to remember this reaction, I think about heart because those questions have to do with feelings. Third step is I. I is for interpretive questions. These are designed to help us think about the meaning, the values, and the significance of the issue or topic. I think brain for idea because this is when you analyze and interpret what just happened. Then final step is D. D is for decision questions, which are about resolving the conversation or to prompt action or to help to plan the next step. And to remember D, I think tools, because this is your action step. And this is where you will put what you learn to practice. And so these are the 4 steps: operation, reaction, idea, and decision. And next Sal will take us into looking at different types of questions we can use.
So when you're crafting the questions, I can't say you can ask this question and people are going to be like, right? It's not like that. A lot of it has to do with the activity and the things that you're going to be talking about to be able to break those down. And we're going to go through examples later that'll hopefully help you understand what that means. But here's some types of questions that really break down each category. So the first one is observations. What are the topics we talked about today? So say you just went through a workshop and everyone's going to do an ORAD about all this workshop, right? Super meta. And what are the key facts that they talked about? Share one thing that you saw. So these are questions that can prompt conversation in your groups. And sometimes with an observation, you might do one question and there's a lot of dialogue and there's no need for 2 or 3 other questions. Sometimes you need to kind of probe to see if there's a different question that might help kind of get the responses that you're looking for. R is reaction, as Linda was talking about. How did it make you feel, right? A part of Linda and I have been doing group facilitation for a really, really long time. One of the things when I went through this process that I learned that I think I've missed out on a lot and sometimes cover it doesn't is this one right here is reaction. We don't always cover how something makes someone feel or what surprised them or what frustrated them. And those are important, especially when we work with young people. The really connecting that social emotional learning part is right there, right? It's, oh, boom, light bulb went off for me when I heard this. The next one is idea. So now we saw something and like, oh, that was interesting. Well, that made me feel this way. But now what are the key insights? What can we take away from it? So what does this mean for our organization, community, or person? What challenges do we need to be resolved? And what are the key messages in the session? So kind of really getting to like, why did he do this? Right? We saw that he did it. It made us feel a certain way, but why the hell did he do it? And the last one is decision. Now knowing what happened, what are we going to do with this information? And so what do we do as a result of this? What are the next steps or appropriate questions when we start working on it? And when would you like to use ORAD? So those are kind of the 4 key areas and 4 generic questions that you can utilize. All right, so let's do a practice. All right, so I'm going to ask question 1 in the chat. I would like you to write if you think it's an O for observation, R for reaction, I for ideas, or D for decision. So question 1, what was the topic of the presentation? What kind of question is that? In the chat, please. Hopefully no one's asleep. Let's see. I know a few people have their coffee. Is the chat working? Did we enable that? Okay,
Yes.
because it ain't moving.
It's okay. They're on the edge of their seats, right on top.
Here we go.
Norma,
Observation.
observation.
There we go. They're warming up. Fantastic.
Ooh.
You guys got it. That's correct. Linda, is that correct?
It is correct.
All right, good. Fantastic. Thank you. All right, question number 2. What will we do differently as a result of this conversation? Is that an O, R, I, or D?
Cynthia's
We have
a
some
D.
D's with a question mark. Great job. Great job. Linda, survey says, ding, ding, ding. All right, next one. Question 3. What did this remind you of? What did this remind you of? Question 3. Man, I can't get past you guys. You guys are all stars. And lastly, question 4. What does it mean to our organization? And did it stop or is it still moving?
No, it's still going. I think people said R.
There we go.
Coco
Cool.
said I.
And Linda? All right. 4I.
Ding,
I'm
ding,
not
ding,
sure what that
ding.
means. All right. Good job, everyone. So you've got the basics. You're ready to teach the class.
Awesome. All right, so right now we're going to do an activity. I'm going to read you a poem and then I just want to hear your thoughts about it. Has anyone ever heard of the I Am From poem before? If you have, let us know in the chat. Norma? Nice, thank you, Vanessa. All right, so George Ella Lyon, Olga said yes too, thank you. George Ella Lyon wrote a poem once called Where I'm From, and she weaves together vivid images from her life as a girl, drawing on little things like art projects she did, products she used, things her parents said, as well as sensory details from her life experience to create a window into her past. So this style of poem has inspired many people in recent years to write their I Am From poem, which can be a great way to tell their story. Templates have been made to help guide people in creating their I Am From poems. And the one I have on the slide is one that was created by a young adult. And I will read that now. I am from poem. I am from marbles, from empanadas cooking in the street. I am from orchids and mango trees. I am from La Torta Tres Leches and Ruana. I am from happy and serious, from hard work and sweat. I'm from grit, respect, and discipline, from big family reunions and endless laughs. I am from houses never locked, from the projects in Brooklyn and dominoes in the park. I'm from salsa and the car horns blaring. I am from diners and malls and accents that put awe in coffee. From silk lingerie and sweat socks, bruised knuckles, and scars I gave myself from longing to be someone somewhere else. I am from a mother who was still a girl, whose beauty kept her shy. I am from dirt and fences, from strength and toughness. I am from ashes flicked into the tray, the despair of divorce, bonds gone unappreciated, eviction and being thrown away. Running and begging to stay. I am from a little girl who just needed a break. I am from a time when my mother went to the hospital and never came back, when my toys were in a box by the curb as we drove away. I am from singing in the darkness of night, putting myself to sleep with the sound of my own voice. All right. So I'd like for you all to share in the chat one word or phrase that popped out at you in the poem read out loud.
Olga said beautiful.
Thank you, Olga. And at this point, I would like everyone who's participating and on the session to share one word or phrase that popped up at you.
From strength and toughness, respect and discipline, happy and serious. Emotional. Candace said that last line was powerful, putting myself to sleep with the sounds of my own voice. Christina said from hard work and sweat. Mr. Guerrero, home. Rosanna, little girl who just needed a break. And then Estivales, big family gatherings and laughter. Ashley, hard work and sweat. I'm from happy and serious. Antonio Lopez says, houses never locked. Daisy, I am from a mother who was still a girl.
I'm getting goosebumps for all the phrases that y'all pointed out. Right. Who would like to share any thoughts that were in your head while I was reading the poem? How did you feel? How did you feel as I was reading this poem?
Gustavo said, I am from grit, respect, and discipline. You may also unmute yourself and speak if that's easier.
I think that, I'm sorry. I think that when I read can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So when I heard the poem, I think that it felt very connected because I feel like a certain point in my life, I think I went through some of the part that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I feel like I was very connected. Thank you.
Thank you, Norma, for sharing that.
I was actually feeling really inspired because I know that you mentioned prior to reading the poem that it was written by a young adult. And, I'm working on a poetry workshop for my students right now. And it's difficult because I'm trying to reach, grades 1 to 5. And so it's, it's a lot. But this just kind of reminded me of how important it is to teach this art to kids because of the way that it enables them to put words to their feelings.
Thank you for sharing that, Candace.
More people in the chat. S. Brooks, it's a hard life for a youth. I think it's Jessica, emotional. Carlos from strength and toughness. And then Olga, emotional. Love it.
Awesome. Thank you all for participating in that. All right. What do you think was valuable or interesting about this activity? Like, how might completing this activity benefit you as an individual or maybe as a team?
For me, it's kind of like someone says, it's a way of connecting. It kind of like brings us back to our childhood.
Yeah.
How this person is able to put her feelings or her story on a poem. So we all have a story. We all have our memories that we can just need to bring up or need to bring them out from us.
Yeah.
Ourselves. So to be heard, to share, to to be open. So that's why for me it was like really emotional.
Thank you.
I'm muted, sorry.
Can I share too?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say that I think this poem allows people to kind of like express parts of their life that are important to them, but it's not as intimidating because they can go as deep as they want to. Like the short phrases, like give people like a peek inside like of your life, but kind of like allowing yourself to be deeper than you want to.
Thank you for that. So having opportunities to reflect, but also share that part of your story, right? Awesome.
Yeah. There were some people in the chat, I believe. Norma said it's a reminder of who I am. Daisy said it's a chance to express your story and to reflect on why you are you. Carlos said a good SEL lesson for staff and students. Gustavo said it brings memories, good feelings. Cynthia said you get to see others the way they view themselves and not judge and want to begin building positive relationships by walking in their shoes.
Awesome. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts. All right. Is there anyone who would like to take a template of this poem so that you can do it your own, or maybe share it with your youth or your staff members? Got some thumbs up.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, Candace. Thanks, Carlos. Thank you, Julia. I just put the template in the chat box, so you should be able to download it. I will also have this online on our STEAM session, so you can download it from there as well, and take this and share it with your staff members or with your young people. I definitely have done this activity myself, and I find it to be very beneficial. Awesome. All right, thank you for participating in the activity. Did anyone notice that I just did an ORID with you all? Anyone notice that? It's okay. The purpose of Carlos put a emoji. Jessica put a thumbs up. The purpose is not for everyone to know that you're doing an ORID, because the discussion is meant to be natural. A quality ORID will have smooth transitions throughout the 4 sections without it being noticeable to the participants. You do not need to explain to your team what ORID is before you facilitate a conversation with your team. And so on this slide were the questions I just asked you all about the poem that we did. Can anyone tell me what type of questions that these might be? For instance, the first question, describe any thoughts that were in your head while I was reading the poem. How did you feel? Anyone can tell me what type of question that was? Was it an observation question, a reaction question, an idea question, or a decision question?
So Daisy said reaction.
Awesome, great job. See a lot of reactions. You're right, it was a reaction. Can everyone see that R pop up on the screen? All right, great. Thank you. So next question, what do you think was valuable or interesting about this activity? Can anyone tell me if that was a O, R, I, or D question? What did you think was valuable or interesting about this activity? And I know we're just practicing here because we're just learning ORID for the first time. Idea, question mark, I think yes. Great job, everyone. It is an I question. This prompts us to think about what was interesting or valuable about the activity that we just did. This sometimes might be easily confused with an O question, but O is more of what you saw, what were the facts, and I is more of your idea about your what did you think about it? All right, next question. In one word or phrase, what popped out in the poem read aloud? Is this an O question, an R question, an I, or a D question? O question mark. Yes, it is an O question. This is an observation question. Great job. Because it's just something that popped out at you, or what was one word or phrase, which is what I asked you all, that popped out in the poem. And you guys actually took words that were from the poem. Is there anyone who would like to take a template to work on this poem on their own? Anyone know what kind of question this is? Was it an observation, reaction, idea, or decision? All right, so this was a D question. This was a decision question because it prompts action. So this is the question that makes you think about what are you going to do? What are you going to take away from this, right? And so that's why I asked you, is there anyone who would like to take a template to work on this own? Because this would be a question that prompts action for them to actually take the poem and do it on their own or share it with others. Last question is, how might completing this activity benefit you as a person or team? how might this activity benefit you as a person or team? Can anyone tell me if this is an observation, reaction, idea, or decision question? This is to get you to think about what is the meaning behind this poem? Why is it important? So it makes you have to think about your response. Cynthia says R.
Daisy said idea, question mark.
Daisy said idea. Okay, so this is an idea question. It is an I question because this makes you think about how this activity is going to benefit the team. So what are your thoughts? Why is this beneficial? It's basically the why question of the group. All right. Thank you all for participating in that. Oops, need to stop annotation. All right, so some tips and tricks. Let me just, for doing ORID, before we move on to our next activity, just want to share some helpful tips that we use. So don't be afraid to pause and wait for participant answers when you're asking these questions. We've all been in a room where someone asks a question and then everyone is silent, but let that silence sink in, and most likely someone will end up sharing within those 30 seconds of wait time. Often we want to share something, but we're unsure. And if you move into the next question too fast, you may lose out on some responses. So just don't wait too long when you're asking these questions. So you can have more than one question for each section of ORID. So you don't have to do one question per observation, reaction, idea, or decision. You are the facilitator and this is your discussion. And so design and ask the questions that you will need in order to get input on what you're looking for. For the observation question, it is always good to have an inclusive question. For instance, I like to start my ORID with an objective question along the lines of share one word or phrase that stuck out to you. The reason why I do that is so that one, it's not a big ask. You don't have to think and worry about your responses too much because it's one word based on your thoughts. And two, now everyone has participated at least once at the beginning of the conversation, which might make them feel more comfortable with answering the other questions because we've broken through that barrier of silence. For ORID to run smoothly and work, you need to follow the model from O to D. A quality ORID will be one where the transitions between the four stages seem seamless and you're not really aware of the rigor behind the facilitation. And so it might be tempting to rush through the O and the R, but don't. ORID is a way of having a conversation that requires us to thoroughly explore what we know before we take action on it. Also, the ORID facilitator, you should not participate in the discussion. It doesn't have to be an external paid facilitator, just someone who has an impartial viewpoint and is familiar with the option. So as you all know, when I was facilitating those questions with you, I didn't give you too much of a response. Just thank you for participating in that activity. Secondly, anyone who has vested interest in the project or program that you're talking about should be playing the role of participant, not facilitator. So anyone who you want to be part of the conversation or to think about the activity should be a participant, not someone who's leading the activity. An ORID is best done with a facilitator who is trained in the technique. So if faced with using it for the first time, maybe explore some informal opportunities to practice it first. So instead of doing your first ORID around discussing a big event your program just did, maybe do an ORID around something more simple, like the thoughts on the latest TV show that you watched. All right, and
Linda,
yes.
this sounds like an amazing process. Can you do this with young people?
Yes, you can definitely do this with young people.
No.
Because this method is so simple. It's really just coming up with the questions. The hardest part is creating the questions, right? And so at our program, we use this model to debrief activities that we do with the youth to get them to think about the purpose of doing them. And so, for instance, like the poem that we just went through, I think that we probably would have had a different discussion if I were just to ask you what your thoughts were, instead of going through the process of first asking you what you saw in the poem, what you felt about the poem, which made you open up a little bit more and talk about the ideas and taking action on that activity. Is there anything else you wanted to share, Sal, with that?
No, I think those are all great observations and kind of things to carry forward. It's going to feel uncomfortable the first time you try it, but it's going to be worth it if you stick with it. But again, if you're interested in kind of being ORAD trained, there are people that do that training, and there are ways that you can learn to do it. So we encourage you to use it at staff meetings. We encourage you to use it with young people, with your family members. It's really a great kind of active listening technique. Really, you're engaging people and making them feel heard, which is really valuable if you're trying to build culture and community. So.
And you're all getting really good at this for a group that's just had 30 minutes of training. Sal and I sat through 3 days in order to really grasp the concept. So you guys are doing fantastic.
Julia would like to know if the slides of the presentation will be shared.
Yes, they will be shared, Julia. I will upload these slides onto our STEAM website where you found the session under our session document. So you can access it from there. But if for some reason it's not there, you can't access it, I'll put my email in the chat so you can email me and I'll send it directly to you. Awesome.
All right, my turn. So now, imagine you're facilitating a session or a discussion. You're going to develop ORAD questions with the help of your friends. So in a minute, you're going to see a video, and it's a short video. It's like 10 seconds. And then you're going to go into breakout rooms. And in your breakout rooms, you are going to develop a question, at least one question for each of these, right? So one observation, the what, the facts, the eyes, reactions, kind of how to make you feel, kind of the heart, really what is the emotion, the I with ideas. So in the brain kind of, and then the D, decisions, now what, tool. So we're going to show the video in a second. You're going to create each one of these questions after we assign you into breakout rooms.
Sorry, before that, we have a question in the chat.
Yes.
So Rosanna said, how might this framework interact with the adaptive schools and cognitive coaching frameworks?
That's a great question. I'm not trained in either of those. So if someone wants to elaborate a little bit, I'm all ears.
Hi, it's Rosanna. No, I was just wondering, how when we start layering our frameworks, it's really nice to think about, the time and place that this ORAD might occur most often. But I didn't mean to derail the conversation. I just wanted.
No, it's a good question, but I'm curious kind of how those intersect. But I think you might be the key person to help train us on that later.
Yeah.
Come back next year for more.
Yeah, no, I don't think so, but you guys are doing great. Thank you. Excited to go to the next phase.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I will look up into those. I always like learning about new different things in training or coaching or learning. But by the time you learn one thing, something else is out. So I'm a certified strengths coach, strength finders coach. So now there's another thing that you have to learn. So I get it. But I'd be interested in learning more about it, or at least the concepts. Cool. So that is the 4 things. So we're going to watch a video. You're going to develop the questions in a group of 4 or 5, and you're going to be great. All right. And then we're going to come back and share out a little bit.
And close your eyes and just fall down, okay? Don't worry.
Okay, then Lauren's going to catch you.
Close your eyes. Okay.
Okay, it's called the trust fall. Okay, trust fall. Ready, set, go.
Every time. All right. So we're going to break you into groups. You're going to develop your ORAD. Lynn's going to take you kind of how we're going to do that process, and then we'll release you.
Awesome. So right now, what's going to happen is I'm going to put a link in the chat to our Jamboard. And if you've never worked with Jamboard before, it's an awesome interactive virtual whiteboard. Basically, you all can work on it at the same time, and it populates in real time. And so based off your breakout room is going to decide what panel you're going to be on. So if you're breakout room 1, you're going to be on panel 1. If you're breakout room 2, you're going to be in 2. 3 is going to be on 3, 4, and 5. On the Jamboard, you're going to be able to interact by utilizing this toolbar on the side. So I put the discussion question right here, which is, imagine you are going to have a discussion with your team about what they just saw in the video. You want them to think about how this is related to effective communication. Create ORAD questions to help facilitate this discussion. And so right over here, we have the ORAD. We have observations, reactions, idea, and decisions. And so what you're going to do is you're going to get into your groups and come up with at least one question for each of these sections. Doesn't have to be it's just simple question that you think could touch base on each of these sections. And the way that you can interact on here is there's tools like the painting and the pen, but you can also use sticky notes, which is what I did right over here. You can do different color sticky notes, type what you want, and it posts onto the board. And then you also have a text box feature that you can use to type different things in. So we will give you about 4 to 5 minutes. This is just practice. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask us when you come back into the main session. All right.
I'm opening all rooms now.
Don't forget to grab the link to the Jamboard. We'll see you all soon.
From panel 5, what are they doing, or how did it happen? What do you guys think? Were those good questions? You could just put it in the chat. What did you observe? Were they good O's? I can't see the chat at the same time. Let's see, scrolling down. I still see the Jamboard.
Yeah, nobody's
put
anything
emotion
in the chat.
You could put emotions as well. Just put in a thumbs up because we're moving quick. Is everyone back here? We lost like 4 people. Cool, thumbs up. All right, and then the R. Let me go to a different pan. So trust also, but also surprise at the time of the fall. So kind of, I guess what we're trying to get at with the R, which is the one that some people get really quickly or struggle sometimes with, is what was the reaction of the room? I shared with one of the groups in group 5 that, I laugh every time I see it, but there might be someone that goes, I was really concerned for her. Why did she fall? Like, she just lost trust, right? So what is that reaction that the room had? And then going to I, let's see if anyone had I. We're still working on our eyes. Here we go. So I, ideas. So would you give directions differently? So that was a good one. You guys all agree? Thumbs up emoji. Yeah. And then D, after seeing this video, how would you give the directions to this challenge? Question mark. What do y'all think? Great question. So again, this is an introduction. It's meant to help you hopefully tease out better conversations with your peers as well as with young people and in meetings. So please kind of take these, learn these. We'll put these up on the website. And those are my closing thoughts. Linda, anything else?
Nope. I know some of you might have some questions around this information. So if you do, I put my email in the chat. I'm going to put Sal's email in the chat right now. If you have any questions or you want more training or anything like that, reach out to us and we can either help you or get you the people who can help support that.
Yes, thank you. I'm also putting a link to the evaluation form in the chat. If you could please click on it and save it before you leave. People who turn it in by 3 p.m. today will be entered into a daily opportunity drawing. So just do it by 3 p.m. and then you'll be entered into an opportunity drawing. But that is all we have for you today. Thank you all for coming and have a great rest of your day.